Hey guys, Equinox here, and this is gonna be the how to deal damage video. It's been a long time coming. I haven't done one of these since Dragonflight, so it's gonna be quite a bit different. The points are a bit more nuanced, and the rotation's a bit more complex than it was in Dragonflight. So let's kind of get into it. So first things first is the really obvious things. Talons. I'll flash the talons on screen, then we'll kind of go over a little bit of breakdown here. So the DPS parts of this build literally never change in any dungeon. So the key points are Counter-Strike, Facepalm. I think these are acquired talents if you're playing Master Harmony or Shadowpan. It's just way too much single target and priority damage to give up. This is really good for killing stuff like Gatekeepers, Despoilers and Stone Vault, any mini boss in City of Threads and Dawnbreaker, bosses in general, really good. And then on the left side, there will be Scalding Brew and Charred Passions. Scalding Brew is kind of a new take. We never took this in any expansion that it's pretty much existed, except I think we used it in Shadowlands, but we take Scalding Brew now because of Shadowpan's huge steroids to keg with 1 versus many and efficient training. That gives a bunch of damage on Keg Smash, so we use this to abuse Keg Smash. Our tier set also synergizes with Keg Smash, so that kind of benefits it. I don't see this changing in Season 2 at all. We'll probably still run Scalding Brew unless Shadowpan becomes worse than Master Harmony, then we might switch it up a little bit. Charred Passions accounts for about 3% of your overall damage, around 2.5 to 3% depending on how good your rotation is. This isn't like a super important damage node, but I think it's worth using. It also gives you higher Breath of Fire uptime, especially on priority dangerous targets, since you'll be mostly like main hitting the priority targets, and they're usually the ones that are hurting you the most, so this will be pretty good. And then just your regular stock standard. The one flex point here that you could arguably take out, but I don't think you really can, is Chi Surge. This gives you 20 seconds off of every Weapons of Order cast in AoE, and then 4 seconds off on single target. This, coupled with the talent efficient training, lets you get a very low cooldown Weapons of Order, and if you have a like very perfect rotation, you can get about 50 to 60% uptime on your Weapons of Order debuff, and that's pretty huge. That's a large amount of uptime on Weapons of Order, a huge improvement over Dragonflight. That's the talents, not too much different for them, but yeah, really think this is like the kind of most important damage aspects. So next, basic rotation. So the basic rotation, it basically revolves around you playing around Blackout combo, and then you're feeding that into as many Tiger Palms as you can. And the reason we feed into as many Tiger Palms as we can is because of, again, efficient training. Energy spenders deal additional 20% damage, and then we have Counter-Strike and Facepalm. And this also allows us to dump Tiger Palms and give us Flurry Strike damage. So the reason we use Tiger Palm over Spinning Crank Kick is, one, Spinning Crank Kick just deals less damage per cast, and it does way less priority damage. And priority damage is really good this season. It's just really strong. And also Tiger Palm gives you Brew CDR. It has the base Brew CDR, and then it gives you more with Facepalm. So it's really strong. Really want to focus on the Tiger Palms. Sometimes you do Keg Smash, and sometimes you do Breath of Fire, and sometimes you do Celestial Brew. The Celestial Brew one I'll go over in a different video, but for now we'll focus on the when to Keg Smash, when to Breath of Fire. So Breath of Fire is exceedingly rare that you want to blackout combo it. You only want to use that defensively, pretty much never offensively, so you don't really care about that. Keg Smash, however, in a big enough pull, you kind of just want to prioritize Keg Smash damage. So say a big pull on Necrotic Wake or a big pull on Stone Vault, and you just blackout combo or blackout kick, it's okay to just spam the Keg Smashes, especially if you got a 4-set proc. Just hit 2 Keg Smashes back to back. But almost majority of your cast should be blackout kick into Tiger Palm, almost every single one. But in higher target counts, I want to say around 8 to 8+, it's okay to Keg Smash. But if there's a priority target, you still want to prioritize Tiger Palm over Keg Smash. But there's also a defensive aspect to it. Again, I'll go over that in a different video, which will be coming up. But overall, yeah, blackout combo and Tiger Palm, really important. It matters. I'll show you guys in the damage breakdown later in the video, but it makes a massive difference, especially in your flurry strikes. Let's get into like the very important parts. So throughout a dungeon, the most important thing you guys want to do is just be casting all the time. So casting all the time, I know this seems kind of like a forehead thing to say, but you really want to be using blackout kick on cooldown. That is like absolute #1 priority. You need to be using that on cooldown. This gives you blackout combo. This gives you hit scheme for your Keg Smashes. It lets you get your Tiger Palm, and it's just the most damage you can get per global, and is really important. And you want to always be spending as much energy as possible. And one thing that's kind of underrated is, so you want to get Breath of Fire up about as early as possible. And I usually don't start Tiger Palming until about a few globals in, depending on the pull. So basically you want to open up with a blackout kick into Keg Smash, then Breath of Fire, then Keg Smash again, Weapons of Order, blackout kick, double Keg Smash, Rising Sun Kick, and then go back into your normal rotation with blackout kick, Tiger Palm. And then that's pretty much it. Like once you get that opener down, it's really just straightforward from there. Blackout kick on cooldown, Keg Smash on cooldown, blackout combo the Tiger Palm. Now, when the hard part comes in is with Chi Burst and Exploding Keg. So Chi Burst and Exploding Keg are kind of weird. They are not that pivotal in your damage. They're actually kind of low in your damage breakdown, but when you use them is kind of important. So you usually want to use them during your cooldowns. At least Exploding Keg you want to use during Weapons of Order. You use this after you proc a Flurry Strike, so you have against all odds, you have the 10% agility, and you have the 4 stacks of Weapons of Order. That's like the best time to use Exploding Keg and Chi Burst. Chi Burst you kind of just use on cooldown, but you don't really sacrifice your rotation. So you kind of just use it when blackout kicks on cooldown and both keg charges on cooldown. That's pretty much the only time you really prioritize it. And Exploding Keg, it's if you have no cooldowns up, you use it mostly defensively or for aggro. You don't really care about it for damage, or you just use it right after a Flurry Strikes proc if you have no cooldowns. But that's pretty much how you use those. They really aren't that important. Ideal usage is again after your 4 stacks Weapons of Order and your first Flurry Strike proc, you Chi Burst into Weapons of Order, or Chi Burst into Exploding Keg, and that's pretty much it. Really nothing too crazy there. Just to reiterate all the points so far: basic rotation, blackout kick on cooldown, prioritize blackout comboing Tiger Palm on 8+ targets. You want to Keg Smash. It's okay to Keg Smash on your blackout combo, and then Keg Smash on cooldown, and make sure you have Breath of Fire up before you go into your Weapons of Order window. Next point, so CD timings and dungeons. This is the biggest contributor to overall damage. And overall damage it's a good metric to show your like proficiency and rotation, but it's not like the make or break on everything. But anyway, CD timings and dungeons. CD timings and dungeons is mostly down to 1, the dungeon, 2, the key level, and 3, your route. I'll give you some examples like City of Threads. Your CD timings are going to be completely different than a dungeon like Necrotic Wake because 1, the pull sizes are smaller, so things generally live less time or even a little bit longer, so you might even have better cooldown timings. Key level will affect this too. You'll have Weapons of Order on different packs, you'll have Exploding Keg on different packs, you'll have to ramp faster, stuff like that. But in general, what you want to focus on is basically using Weapons of Order on cooldown as much as possible, like really on cooldown. Unless the pack is like, I'd say like 30% or lower, you don't want to use Weapons of Order. Unless it's like a 17 or something, then you can probably get away with it. But really using Weapons of Order on cooldown, it's not as important as Dragonfly because you're not doing like massive pulls as often, and they're not like as dangerous. The only exception to this is, so say you're saying like Stone Vault, right? And you're doing a smaller pull and you know you're about to do a big pull, you want to save Weapons of Order. So you had to keep that in mind with the route too. It's okay to route around your cooldowns. Since you're running Efficient Training and Chi Surge, you'll have Weapons of Order about every minute, like 15-ish. So every other Weapons of Order will line up with like Ascendance, DK Breath, and you want to kind of route around that. So I'll put up like an example of the Stone Vault route on screen right here. And just to go over it really quick, so pull 1 would be Weapons of Order. This pull usually lasts around 45-50 seconds depending on the pull, and then you'll use Weapons of Order on cooldown in pull 2. In lower keys, this first pull lasts like 30 seconds, so you would still use Weapons of Order on cooldown eventually in pull 2 because you chain in the golems, and then you'd eventually have it up on boss. Then near the end of Edna, so say your Weapons of Order comes up around like 20%, you would not press it there, and you would save it for the pack, and then you press it on the next pull. This pull usually lasts around, again, like 40 seconds or so, and then you would use your Weapons of Order on cooldown for pull 4, and then you would not use it on pull 5, and then you would use it on pull 6, and that pull again lasts around 45 seconds seconds, maybe a minute, depending on your DPS cooldowns. And then you'd use it on cooldown on pull 7, and then et cetera, on the boss. And then, so for example, pull 10 right here, if your despoiler's dead and your weapons of order comes up after the despoiler's dead, you probably save it and then use it on this pack so you have more damage on the despoiler, because that's like the key depleter. And then here, use it on cooldown. So you guys kind of get the basic rhythm. You can apply this to literally any dungeon. The same logic is basically, will the weapons of order be up for the important pulls, and is the pull I'm in going to live long enough for me to get full value? And that's pretty much it. That's like the big important CD timings. So you really want to route around your cooldowns. You really use weapons of order on cooldown, and then yeah, that's about it. So the next thing is special delivery. So this is a very underrated aspect of your damage. I see a lot of people's damage breakdowns and they're missing anywhere from 3 to 4% overall just from special delivery. This is lower in dungeons like City of Threads, Siege of Borealis, Dawnbreaker, where the mob density isn't as big, but it's really important in stuff like Stone Vault, Necrotic Wake, Miss, Arakara, big pull dungeons like that. So special delivery and getting as many casts of Black Ox Brew in as possible is really important. So you'll see in a lot of my videos and the gameplay below, like I'll be using Purifying Brew pretty much on cooldown, but not always on cooldown. Sometimes you have to use it for survival. I'll go over that in the defensive video, but really important that you're using Purify Brew as much as possible. And as soon as you have both charges of Purify and Celestial Brew on cooldown, and you don't need to save Black Ox Brew to survive, you want to hit Black Ox Brew and then dump a Purify charge immediately. And you want to do this on cooldown pretty much. And especially in your weapons of order window, if you're doing this, it's a lot of extra damage, because each cast of Black Ox Brew is 4 new casts of special delivery, because it resets everything and presses another special delivery on its own. So really abusing special delivery and really upping your cast of Black Ox Brew using it on cooldown is so important. We're going to flash the ideal damage breakdown. This is copied pretty much key to key. It's going to be on screen, just a Warcraft Logs damage breakdown. Flurry Strikes varies, so this is very RNG. It depends on when you get your if you get a Shadow proc. The Shadow proc is AoE damage on Flurry Strikes. It really depends when you get this, and if you get it during your weapons of order window, when you get this in the route. So this varies. The Flurry Strikes varies, goes up and down, but everything else is the same. So you see the cast, I have the most Keg Smash cast, but I have a lot of Tiger Palm and a lot of Blackout Kick. And this is kind of the emphasis I was talking about, is you really want to Blackout Kick and then Tiger Palm, and then every time you have filler, it's Tiger Palm. It's just really fast. It's a lot of Brew CDR, and then there's a special delivery I was talking about, 7% of my overall. Usually when I see people do this, it's 3%, 4%, even sub 3% sometimes. And spinning crane kicks all the way down here, 9 casts only. It's really not that important. You only use it for grouping. You really don't want to be using spinning crane kick for anything other than grouping. It's a hard habit to break for a lot of people, but really try to stay away from it. And then, like I mentioned, exploding keg and chi burst, they're really not that important. Like, they're kind of like just, yeah, they're really just burst buttons and aggro buttons. Rising Sun Kick, we don't use a lot. We only use this to maintain weapons of order or do priority damage and low target pulls, and obviously on single target. But yeah, you see like Tiger Palm and Cake Smash have almost the same amount of cast. This is what you really want, because it's maximizing the amount of Flurry Strike casts, and it's maximizing the amount of damage you're outputting. The more Flurry Strikes uptime you have, the more buff uptime you have, and that ties into your like mastery. It ties into crit damage, shadow Flurry Strikes, everything like that. And yeah, that's pretty much cast breakdown. That'll really give you a rough idea. The numbers obviously vary, like this is, but you pretty much want to have Keg and Tiger Palm close to as even as possible, and then Blackout Kick right behind it. And yeah, that's kind of it. There's really not much else to it. It's just really nailing down the basic rotation, really nailing down using Blackout Kick into Tiger Palm, and then Keg Smashing as much as possible, routing around your weapons of order, and using it on cooldown as much as possible, and really using Black Ox Brew on cooldown. Black Ox Brew on cooldown is really important, and getting as much special delivery damage as possible. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want a detailed breakdown on like stats and what changed and Cersei Circlet, I'll have a link to that video below and at the very end of the video. Probably be going on right about now. If you like the video, subscribe and have a wonderful day. I'll be making a how to survive guide on Brew in a couple days. It'll be about the same thing as this one, but hope you have a good one, guys. Peace out. Love you guys.